Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're tackling mindfulness, especially for those of us who, let's be honest, never seem to have enough hours in the day.
It's such a common thing, right? That feeling of being completely overwhelmed, like there's just not enough time for everything. And mindfulness can feel like, well, one more thing to add to that never-ending to-do list.
Exactly. So we dug into a whole bunch of sources that are all about making mindfulness and meditation actually doable, even when you're totally time crunched.
Because it really is possible. And, it's interesting. A lot of these sources jump right into debunking this idea that you need hours of silent meditation to reap the benefits.
Right, because let's face it, that image of needing hours of absolute quiet, it's pretty unrealistic for most of us.
It is. And honestly, it can feel kind of intimidating, right? Like, who has time for that? But the good news is the real magic isn't in how long you meditate for, but how consistently you do it.
So even if it's just a few minutes each day, sprinkled throughout the week, that can still make a difference.
Absolutely. It's like, think about building muscle. You wouldn't expect to get ripped from just one gym session.
Sure.
It's about those regular, repeated efforts that really add up over time.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So it's less about finding this huge chunk of time and more about finding those little bite-sized mindful moments.
Exactly. And the sources we looked at are full of examples of how to do that. Like, think about all those everyday things we do on autopilot. Grabbing coffee on the go, walking to the printer.
Or like answering emails while simultaneously trying to have a conversation and eat lunch.
Exactly. All of those moments, those little in-between spaces, those are perfect opportunities to inject a little mindfulness.
I love that. So it's like hitting the reset button without actually having to disconnect from everything else.
Exactly. And those little resets, they can be surprisingly powerful, especially when you're juggling a million things and you just feel that pressure building.
Speaking of pressure building, what about those days when even remembering to breathe feels like a chore? Like that end-of-day tension.
Oh, I think we've all been there. But one of the sources we looked at offers this fantastic antidote for that. The body scan meditation.
Okay, tell me more. No fancy equipment required, I hope.
Nope. None whatsoever. It's so simple, but so effective. You can do it sitting or lying down, whatever's comfortable. Just close your eyes and bring your attention to your body, starting with your toes.
So we're talking literally scanning your body, like top to bottom, with your mind.
Exactly. Slowly move your attention upward from your toes to your legs, torso, arms. And as you do that, pay attention to any sensations you notice. Maybe it's tightness, warmth, tingling, whatever it is. Just notice it without judging.
I imagine the more you do this, the more aware you become of all these little sensations we usually just tune out, right?
Absolutely. You're training your mind to be more present, more in tune with what's happening in your body. And here's where it gets really interesting. As you notice these sensations, especially any tension, you consciously release it with each exhale.
Ooh, so it's not just noticing the tension, it's actively letting go of it.
Yes, it's like giving yourself a mini massage from the inside out. And the best part, this whole practice can be done in just 5 to 10 minutes.
Seriously. That's amazing. I could definitely see how something like that could be a total game changer, even on a super busy day.
It really can.
But let's be real, there are those days when even 5 minutes feels impossible. Did the sources have any tips for those crazy busy moments, like when you're about to lose it?
Oh, absolutely. One source called it the emergency reset, and it's brilliant because it's so simple. Basically, it's like hitting a 30-second pause button for your brain. Whenever you feel that urge to just scream into a pillow, stop what you're doing, take 3 deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth, and just notice how your body feels in that moment. Just that.
30 seconds. That's it. Okay, I can definitely commit to that. I mean, sometimes it feels like finding even a few minutes of quiet is a challenge in itself. So how important is it to find that perfect meditation space anyway?
It's funny you should mention that because that's another one of those mindfulness myths these sources tackle head on. That whole idea that you need perfect silence to meditate. It's almost like we have this picture in our minds, flowing robes, a mountaintop retreat, 0 distractions, like something out of a movie montage.
Totally. And my apartment building. Yeah, good luck finding a soundproof room, let alone a mountaintop retreat.
Right. But the good news is it turns out you don't need any of that.
Yeah.
In fact, our sources actually suggest embracing a little modern day help, guided meditation apps.
I used to be so skeptical of those, but I've totally come around. It really is like having a meditation coach right in your pocket.
I know, right? It's amazing how accessible it is these days. And there are so many good ones to choose from. Some of the ones that came up in our research were Headspace, Calm, Insight Timer, just to name a few.
Oh, I've tried all of those.
Mm.
And you know what I love about them? You can find guided meditations that are literally just a few minutes long, which is perfect when you're short on time. But it also got me thinking, mindfulness, it's not just about those dedicated meditation moments, is it?
You are so right. And you know what? The source has actually highlighted another really powerful technique that goes hand in hand with that: single tasking.
Okay, explain this one to me. Because in a world that's constantly telling us to do more, be more, how does slowing down and focusing on one thing at a time actually help?
I know, it seems counterintuitive, but trust me, the sources made a really compelling case for single tasking as a mindfulness practice in and of itself. Just think about it. When you're fully present with whatever you're doing, you're actually strengthening your ability to resist distractions, to stay focused. And that is a skill that translates to every single area of life, not just checking things off your to-do list.
Right, so it's like you're building that mindfulness muscle without even really trying, just by being present in those everyday moments.
Exactly. And I love how one of the sources put it. They said, what if instead of frantically searching for more time, we shifted our focus to bringing more mindfulness to the time we already have?
Wow, that is such a good point.
Isn't it? It's really about recognizing all those little pockets of time that we have throughout the day, like waiting for the bus or standing in line at the grocery store, and choosing to turn those moments into opportunities for mindfulness.
I love that. So instead of trying to cram more stuff into our days, it's about maximizing those little moments we've already got. That's really resonating with me.
It's a powerful shift in perspective, isn't it? And honestly, the beauty of it is it doesn't have to be complicated.
Right. We don't need to overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
So what are some simple practical ways to actually bring that mindfulness into those everyday moments?
Well, for starters, remember that mindful breathing technique we talked about earlier? In through the nose, out through the mouth, paying attention to the sensations of each breath. That's something you can literally do anywhere, anytime, no matter how crazy things are around you.
It's true. I've actually started doing that before work calls, especially if I'm feeling a little anxious or whatever. And it's amazing. Those few breaths, they really make a difference.
It's incredible, right? How just that little bit of conscious breathing can shift your whole state of mind.
It really can.
Yeah.
It's like hitting the pause button on that autopilot mode we all get stuck in sometimes.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything formal or fancy. It could even be something as simple as brushing your teeth. Like, instead of letting your mind race through your to-do list, you actually focus on the feel of the toothbrush, the taste of the toothpaste, all those little sensory details we usually just gloss over.
I love that. Because it's true, we do all of those things every single day. But how often are we really paying attention?
Right, exactly. And that's the thing about mindfulness. The more you practice finding those moments throughout your day, the more naturally it starts to happen. It's like you're rewiring your brain to be more present, less reactive. And that's where the real magic happens.
It's so true. So to sum it all up for our time-crunched listeners out there, mindfulness and meditation, it's not about this far-off state of perfect Zen. It's about those small but mighty changes to our daily routine. It's about finding those pockets of peace throughout the day. And most importantly, it's about giving ourselves permission to not be perfect in the process.
Yes. 1,000 times yes. Mindfulness, it's not a destination, it's a journey, right? It's about progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
And even on the busiest of days, there's always space for a little calm, a little presence, a little mindfulness.
Couldn't agree more. And on that note, we'll leave you with this thought-provoking question from our research today. What if, instead of frantically trying to find time for mindfulness, we focused on how we could fit mindfulness into the time we already have? That's something to chew on this week, everyone. And until next time, stay curious.